Now we're going to work on, once you've gotten your ideas, you've written your story, you've had your editing done, so it's a great story. Now you need to work on your illustrations. I would say to do what's called a book mock-up. These are examples of our book mock-ups that we've done. So when we made illustrations for one of our books, we actually just took pictures of our dog in all these different scenarios and printed them out at the end. And then I would add them onto a page with some writing to kind of plan out how the storyline would go. Or you can just staple some papers together, write out your short story on there if it's a children's book, which is what I'm trying to teach you how to do. And then from there, just draw a rough sketch of what you want your illustration to be on each page. So here's an example. So I just printed out the pictures. And even if these aren't going to be the pictures that you're going to use in your book, maybe you just need placeholders. Like, I know I want a picture of a dog here that's eating out of a big bowl. So find a picture of that online, even if you don't want to quick sketch it, and put that on your page, just so you can see that's where I would want this to go, so I can see that it flows correctly. On my website, there is a 32-page picture book, a rough thumbnail sketch. So you can print this page out, and then you can just make little tiny sketches of how you want your story to flow. Do you want just words on this page? You would write maybe a few sentences, or maybe even just one sentence on that tiny page of what the story would say there, and then draw a rough sketch on the next page. It's just to help you organize your thoughts. But now you need to create the illustration. So you know you want illustrations, you know what they kind of want, you kind of want them to look like, but what are they? Are they going to be AI? If so, let me give you some information on that. If you do use AI for your illustrations, which you can, it depends a lot on licensing and copyrights. It may even be illegal. You have to really read the fine print wherever you're going to download those images, if you can use them for commercial purposes. It's difficult also to make characters look the same, but just in a different setting, in different poses and clothing. And this is just my opinion. I don't think AI illustrations are as personal, but this is your story. If you want to create them and use them, this is for you. So this is just my preference, okay? If you make your own illustrations, or if you have somebody that you know that can make them for you, you would have full creative control. You can make changes very easily. There's lots of different options, right? You own the copyright, so as soon as it's made, it's yours. And I think it's more personal, but it does take a lot more time. You could make illustrations using objects. So think of the I Spy books. My kids did that. So we dumped a bunch of toys on the floor, and then we wrote a poem about it. Can you find a helicopter that has 5 propellers, a mailbox that is for mailing letters, 2 traffic signs to guide us, and a little dog that I named Gus? It was our own idea of an I Spy book. This again is using like a photo book, Shutterfly or Snapfish or something like that. But again, you could make something similar if you wanted to for a children's book, and actually publish it, self-publish it. Your toys, so maybe you put your toys in a certain scenarios and take pictures of them and write a story with that. My daughter did that as well. But then we also took bits of nature, and I don't know if you've seen our book called Nature Tells a Story, where we actually cut up leaves and twigs and used rocks and even some bugs that were dead, and put together scenes, and then wrote a story about those scenes, walking through the seasons, using those scenes that we made. Here's one of them. So you could use nature. If you can't draw, there are lots of things that you can do for illustrations. So use nature, take pictures. These are just a few examples. but maybe you can draw, maybe you can paint. My daughter, she can paint pretty well. This was when she was 11. She made Sophie's pink balloon, and this is Sophie at the fair. So we took pictures of Sophie with a big green sheet behind her, and then inserted Sophie's picture into each of her illustrations that she made. Oops. Did I do that one? Okay. This is a behind the scenes look. It was actually a blue screen. And we put her in different various poses. And then when I would upload them into Canva and I would click remove background, it would take the background away, but Sophie, the dog, was still there, and we could, you know, enlarge it and shrink it and put her in wherever we needed to in the pictures. This is another thing that we did. So my 7-year-old did this one where we took Sophie, dressed her up again, but then she used Canva's clip arts that they have in there and put together all these different pictures and added our dogs in and made her own story that way. Another idea, so if you can't draw, but you want it to look like it's drawn or it's cartooned, you can take a picture and then transfer it using different free programs like Photopea and, oh, the other one is, it'll come to me, but there's another program that you can use. It's free online. I'll try to link it below if I remember. And it makes it look like it's a cartoon. So we did that with one of our books called Sophie's Surprise. As you can see right here, Sophie surprised us with puppies. So she was doing all these funny things like making a bed and eating extra food, and we had no idea why until one day she surprised us with puppies. My son was, I think, 10 or 11 when he drew this. So he drew this rocket, and then we just put it in the scanner on our printer and uploaded it, and then he added the words right on top when we would upload that picture into Canva. And that was one of his illustrations. I mentioned earlier, if you want to, you could just take all of your pieces of art. Maybe you're an artist, you don't really want to write a story, but you would love to make an art collection, maybe an art collection of the different seasons or something, a topic that you have. You could do that as well and scan all of your art pieces. These are my daughter's art pieces that she's made, I think, between the ages of 10 and 13, and just make a collection like that for a book. Or you could use graphic design. If you can't paint, if you can't draw, if you can't use crayons and markers and all of that, you could just use graphic design of your own where you use the tablets and you draw. Perfectly fine. But once you get those illustrations and you're ready to get them uploaded, so we've already written our story, we've got our ideas, we've written our story, we've edited our story, we've gotten all the illustrations and what they're going to be. Now you need to format and upload your book.